Hello, welcome to the final webinar of 2019. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining me live. Uh, this is how to generate self-confidence when things don't go your way. And here I am. This picture is from me earlier in the summer, looking less shiny than I do right now on camera. Uh, I am really excited to share this content with you. This is something that I apply in my own life, in my own business. This is what fuels me. And so I'm so excited to share this with you in the last few days of 2019 to help you propel into 2020. If you want to, at any time during or after the webinar, want to get on a chat with me, on a conversation with me, and see if working with me one-on-one might be a good fit for you, go to jamieleecoach.com/apply. It's a 2-minute survey, and you submit it, and you will be considered for a free 60-minute consultation with yours truly, where I will help you individually generate self-confidence, even when things don't go your way, so that you can lead, so that you can influence, so that you can negotiate and achieve your dream goals for 2020. So who am I? My name is Jamie Lee. I am a certified coach. I specialize in leadership and negotiation skills. And the common denominator for both leadership and negotiation is that it requires self-confidence. I help smart women who hate office politics get promoted, get better paid. And this year has been an amazing year. I had a couple of clients who negotiate and secure job offers that were $100,000 more. $200,000 more than what they were making. And this is just the beginning of what is possible. I've had several clients ask and secure promotions. And, all of this, I think, from all of this, what was most gratifying for me as their coach was to see them become more of who they are. They didn't have to give up who they are to achieve more success, achieve a higher salary, achieve a promotion. They didn't have to give up. They didn't have to give up their authenticity or their identity. They became more of who they are. And they also learned how to deal with difficult situations, difficult people, and how to have better relationships as a result. And so that was so gratifying. And I know we're just getting started. But you know what? I am an immigrant latchkey kid from New Jersey. 30 years ago, almost to the day, December 25th, 1989 was the day I landed at JFK Airport. I was born in South Korea. I know in this picture I'm wearing a Chinese dress, but I'm actually Korean by ethnicity, by birth. And I immigrated with my family when I was almost 8 years old. And when I was growing up as an immigrant latchkey kid in New Jersey, I struggled. I really struggled with my self-confidence. I struggled with feeling like I don't belong. And then I carried that feeling with me into the workplace. I worked in finance, I worked in procurement, I worked in tech before I became a coach. And I also felt like I didn't belong. I felt like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe, I shouldn't be here. I felt like an imposter. And so I really struggled with self-confidence. I struggled with speaking up. I struggled with asking for things I wanted. I struggled with people pleasing. I struggled with all the things that happen when you are not self-confident. And so I now teach the things that have made such an impact on my life, that have turned my life and career around. Because now, as you can see, I work for myself. I work from home. I coach clients all over the world. I help women make more money. In that process, I have also exceeded my own income goals. What? And I want to just share with you, like, if it's possible for me, for this immigrant latchkey kid from New Jersey to learn how to generate self-confidence and to make her dreams come true, you can do it too. There's no like special secret that I'm holding back here. It's like You can do it. Anyone can do it. You can generate self-confidence. You can go for your dreams. You can change your life. You can change your career. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how I did it so you can do it too. What you can expect, where self-confidence really comes from. We're so confused as to where it really comes from. So let me clarify that for you. And then what to do when things don't go your way. Half the time things don't go your way. Half the time things don't go my way. So what do? We're going to implement, we're going to try the exercise live. So this is a webinar where I really encourage you to engage with me live, whether you're joining this right now or you're watching the replay. I want you to go through the prompts with me so that you can feel the effect of the work on you, so that you can really see that it works for you. And if it does, I'm not saying that it's definitely going to, but if it does resonate with you, and if you are curious as to the impact of one-on-one coaching on your life, on your career, work with me. Submit an application for a free consultation. And again, jamieleecoach.com/apply. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, how confident are you at work? There's no right or wrong answer. 1 is the lowest, 10 being the highest. Just pick a number. Just pick a number that most resonates with you. If it's a 4 out of 10, how does that impact how you show up in the workplace? How does that impact what you do in the workplace? Or if maybe it's higher, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 8. So then how do you show up in the workplace? How does that level of confidence impact how you communicate, how you seek buy-in, how you seek help, how you collaborate? Just pick a number, the first number that comes up, and write it down. So I was wondering, what does the research say about this? And here's what I found. According to one survey, they asked 2,000 women in this survey, and 36% said that they were confident to speak up in meetings. 36% of the women. And when I saw this, I'm like, wow, that's low. But I also realized before I learned the tools that I'm going to share with you today, I also felt this way. I felt like I was like 3 out of 10 in terms of my level of confidence, because I was worrying. I was worrying about, what are they thinking about me? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I make a mistake? What if I'm not perfect? What if people say, you don't belong here? Remember, I struggled with feeling like I don't belong. So I was like, I didn't want to make a mistake and be exposed as a person who doesn't belong, because that was my fear, that I didn't belong. And so my fear was, what will other people think? What if I make a mistake? I can't make a mistake. I can't fail. I can't have people think certain things about me. And so when I entertained those thoughts, those worries, I did not feel confident to speak up in meetings, even when I had ideas, even when I had something of value to offer. And so I'm curious, if that resonates with you. But having said that, today's webinar topic is how to generate self-confidence, right? So what do you think is the difference between confidence and self-confidence? I want you to mull on that for half a minute while I take a sip of water. What is the difference between confidence and self-confidence? Most people I talk to, most of my clients I talk to, they want to feel confident. We want confidence, right? But what is self-confidence? What's self-confidence got to do with it. So here's my distinction that I want to offer you today. Confidence comes from having evidence in the past that you can do something. When you know you can do something because you've done it before. I have made hundreds, thousands of cups of tea in my life. So I am confident that I can fix myself a cup of tea. I'm confident when it comes to making myself tea, especially green tea, because I like green tea. And maybe for you, it's confidence in coding. Maybe it's confidence in Excel spreadsheets. It's confidence in walking down the street, walking your dog, making your bed. I mean, these things from the past, we have evidence that we've done it. And maybe in the past, people have also told you that you can do it or that you do it well. And so we're looking to external evidence or past evidence to create that confidence. We're like, yeah, I'm confident that I can walk my dog. I can make a cup of tea. I can create an Excel spreadsheet. Self-confidence, however, comes from your self-belief. What do you believe about you? What do you believe about your future potential? Self-confidence comes when you are your own best ally, even before you have the evidence that you could do it. Even before you have the evidence that you could do it, you have your own back. So it takes belief. It takes a leap of faith. It takes for you to have your own back as if you are your own best friend. Now, you know how you have that one girlfriend who's really good at that one thing, and you're always telling her, why don't you go and pursue this natural talent of yours? You have so much potential. Like, I can totally see how you can totally kill it at this thing. My friend Sarah, she is so good at selling me on doing fun things. And so I always think, well, she'd be an awesome salesperson because she can sell me anything. She can sell me on going out on a rainy Tuesday night. And that was the last thing I wanted to do, but she sold me on it. I think she'd be awesome at selling. And so even though she doesn't have the evidence that she could, I totally see her potential, and I totally believe that she could kill it as a salesperson. But she's like, no, I don't want to do that. Right? So what if you had that level of belief? What if you had that level of trust in yourself as your friend or your best ally does? Because that's how I turned it around for me. When I realized, oh, I needed to be able to see my own future potential as I saw Sarah's future potential. That's when I was able to crack the code on self-confidence. When I was able to say, yeah, I have potential. I can go do that thing. I can go sell. I can go teach negotiation. I can do public speaking. I'm not good at it at first, but I wasn't good at it at first. But then when I was willing to be bad at it and keep trying, because I saw that I had potential, I had value to offer, that's when I started to generate self-confidence for me. So how about for you? How can you be your best ally even before you have the evidence that you can do something? What will you need to believe about you before you have the evidence that you could? It takes a leap of faith. You got to have belief in you. So in summary, self-confidence is the fuel you need to take action when you don't quite have the evidence that you could. So self-confidence is what fuels you to take action, to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, to grow into the unknown. And it's that action, it's that when you take action, that's when you create confidence. So self-confidence comes first, then you take action from self-confidence, then you create confidence. Self-confidence, action, confidence, right? Self-confidence, action, confidence as a result. So if you were more self-confident, what action might you take? I want you to write that down. Remember at the beginning of this webinar, I asked you, what is your level of confidence? And, somewhere between 1 and 10. What if you were a 10 in terms of self-confidence? What if you totally believed that you could? You had no doubt in your mind that you could go do that thing that's going to help you grow, that's going to help you expand into the next level of leadership, career, satisfaction. What action might you take? Now, when you hear me say that, I'd imagine for some of you, all of the doubt, all of the reasons why you cannot take action will just automatically rise up. And you'll tell me, well, Jamie, you don't understand. I'm not self-confident because I wasn't born with it, because of how I look, because of, the money I make, because nobody around me is giving me the praise and the recognition. My boss is terrible. My boss is so difficult, and I just cannot feel self-confident. I can't believe in me when those people don't believe in me. I know it because I've said these things myself. So here's the thing though. Self-confidence is not something you're born with. Self-confidence is not something that is innate for some people and not innate for others. Think about it. All of us, we are all born naked and crying. None of us are born just innately confident, more confident than others. It's just not true. Self-confidence is also not created by your dress size. It's not about how you look. It's not about how much you weigh. And this is the truth. I've been size 8, size 6, size 4, size 0. And there are models out there who are stick thin, who are size 00, and they still lack self-confidence. And they still struggle. They're like very, very thin people who have eating disorders. And then there are very large people who have a lot of self-confidence and they go for their dreams and they achieve it. So that's evidence to show us that it's not about our dress size. It's not about how we look. And it's not about what other people say and do. As much as we would love for other people to inject self-confidence into us with their words and their effort and their praise, we know it doesn't work. It's not about praise. It's not about feedback. It's not about what other people do. Think about your mothers. I just coached a client, and this client is working to grow her confidence and self-confidence. And so, she says, it will be great if my boss can tell me that I'm doing a great job. I'm like, well, but are you certain about that? Because your mother's already telling you that you're doing a fantastic job. And how do you feel when your mother tells you you're doing a fantastic job? And she says, oh, I feel horrible. I feel like an imposter. Right? So what other people say and do does not create our self-confidence. Even if our bosses, and I also had a client, a very competent client, who had a boss who gave this person feedback, positive feedback. And the person said, well, in my mind, I was thinking I should have done better. And so this person did not feel self-confident, even though the praise was there, even though the recognition was there. And it's also not tied to the money you make. They're very rich people who struggle with self-confidence. They're very poor people who struggle with self-confidence. Having money does not immediately generate more self-confidence. In fact, I coach clients who make more money, and sometimes the first thought they have is, oh no, when is the other shoe gonna drop? Right? They don't feel great. They feel like worried. And so all of this goes to show that circumstances do not create our self-confidence. Things that are external do not lead to us feeling more self-confident about us. And so the question is, why? Why is it that self-confidence doesn't come easy? Why is it so hard? Why does it feel like It's impossible to believe in us. Why is it so hard? Well, here's the reason why. Welcome to the voice of the itty bitty shitty committee. That is what I call the voice in our heads. I know I'm not the only one, because I've talked to hundreds of people and they all tell me they hear the voice of the itty bitty shitty committee. And the committee says, who do you think you are? The committee says, you should have known better. The committee says, just stay quiet. Don't raise your hand. Don't speak up. The committee says, unless you're perfect, you're not good enough. The committee says, well, look at so-and-so. They're so good. Why aren't you as good as they are? I mean, it's the voice that we have internalized from the past of all these authority figures who told us how to be, how to stay in line, how to stay quiet, how to stay small so that we wouldn't hurt ourselves, so that we wouldn't step out of the lane and endanger our own lives. Because these voices that we've internalized are our parents, our teachers, authority figures from when we were really, really small. And so the itty bitty shitty committee is totally past focused. Remember, self-confidence comes from believing in our future potential. Whereas the itty bitty shitty committee, their voices are all about keeping you in the lane, keeping you past focused. They'll say, remember back when this happened in the past and you disappointed those people? That's why you can't go and take a risk and raise your hand and speak up, because that terrible thing that happened in the past is going to happen again. And the intention of the itty bitty shitty committee is to help you avoid any sort of risk, any sort of potential pain. Its intention is actually to keep you alive, but it's just mistaken because it thinks that if you step out of the lane, you're gonna die. It prioritizes safety and status quo above everything else, above your own satisfaction, above your own growth, above your genius, above you rising above the difficult thing and growing. So we all hear the voice of the itty bitty shitty committee, and when we listen to that voice, when we entertain that voice, we feel shitty, obviously, and we stay itty bitty. We feel resentful, we feel powerless, and we feel stuck. We don't feel self-confident. But here's the thing. I know we all hear that voice, and it's so easy to mistake that voice as if it is us, as if that voice is the speaking truth, as if that voice is the reality, as if there really is something wrong with us and we got to stay inside the lane and never speak up or never take a risk, right? The reality is we are not our itty bitty shitty committees. It's just the voice. We are not the thoughts we have. We are more than that. We are the watcher. We are bigger than the voice that says that we can't. We are beyond that. We are more than that. We are the watcher. We are the being. We're the amazing thing that exists. We're not our itty bitty shitty committee. But when we confuse ourselves with the voice of the itty bitty shitty committee, that's when people start saying things like, oh, I can never, etc. Oh, I'm not the person who would ever take a risk, or, I can't be confident. I don't believe in myself. We're not our itty bitty shitty committees. But I'm sure you will tell me, Jamie, you don't understand. Things don't go my way. And that is why my self-confidence suffers. Okay, so now let's address that. When are things not going your way? Let's get really specific. Let's identify the problem. Now, when you say things like, it's just my job sucks, or my life sucks, or my boss is a bleep, I can't do anything, I'm just stuck. These blanket, vague statements, they just make us feel terrible. Like what we think creates our emotions. So when we say things like my job sucks, my boss is a whatever, we feel terrible and it offers no solution. We don't know what to do to fix the situation. So instead of writing down these blanket complaints, these vague, generalized complaints, I invite you to get really specific. Pick a concrete situation that triggered negative emotion, that holds you back from feeling self-confident. Maybe it triggers doubt. Maybe it triggers anxiety. Maybe it triggers feelings of inadequacy or shame, embarrassment, pain. Right? What happened? Is it a very specific situation? Then you can describe what had happened or what was said, who said what. Write it down. So this is the part of the webinar where I'm inviting you to write it down. Get really specific and write down when things don't go your way and when you suffer from lack of self-confidence. And I want to help you identify the cause of the problem so that we can do something about it. When you identify the cause, then you can identify the solution, right? Brainstorm everything you think is going wrong about this particular situation. Write it down. You know, the itty bitty shitty committee is very wily. It'll have us believe all sorts of things and feeling like we're the victim of a situation we can't get out, and the only thing we can do is just blame or numb out or, you know, get really angry, stuck, in other words. And that's because so much of what the itty bitty shitty committee says gets wired into our unconscious minds. And so the work here is to bring what is unconscious in the back of our minds and bring it to the forefront of our conscious minds so that we can create solutions, so that we can identify solutions and move forward, not be stuck in the problem. When you identify the cause of the problem and brainstorm everything that you think is going wrong, ask yourself these questions and write down the answers. Why is this particular situation a problem for you? What does it mean to you? Is this pattern reoccurring in your career or in your life? What will happen if nothing changes? How does it affect you outside of the work, this particular problem? And what is the impact that this has on your life outside the office? Right? Usually when we have a problem, we take it home. It's on our minds. It affects how we show up, our mood, right? It impacts what we talk about and how we are outside the office as well. And what are you doing about it? What have you tried that didn't work? What have you tried? If it did work, like what do you think made it work? And if it didn't work, why do you think it didn't work? Write it all down on paper. And here's something I want to offer. When you have written it all down on paper, know that it can all change, all of it. It is possible. So let me tell you how I did it. 6 years ago, I worked at a tech company here in New York as operations director, and I lacked self-confidence. I probably was a 3 out of 10 when it came to level of self-confidence. It was a small company, and all of the executive team were comprised of men. I was the middle manager, operations director. I eventually became senior operations director, but all of the C-level people, CEO, CRO, COO, CTO, we didn't have a CFO. They were all men. And around lunchtime, I would notice that the CRO, the COO, they would huddle every day during lunch. And they would just have a, lunch, a working lunch behind closed doors every day. And when I saw this, it triggered the thought that I'm excluded and that I cannot succeed without fitting in that group of men. And it triggered the thought that I don't belong and I should belong. And so that something has gone wrong. There's something wrong with me. Right? And it triggered, feelings of imposter syndrome, like FOMO, definitely a huge FOMO, fear of missing out. And this was a reoccurring pattern in my life. Remember, I'm an immigrant latchkey kid, and throughout my life, I struggled with feeling like I don't belong. And so this brought up like these painful memories, and just all the emotion of feeling like, oh, I don't belong. These kids in the schoolyard, they don't like me. I'm laughing, but I mean, it was really painful when I was there because I really believed that I cannot succeed unless I belong, and I don't belong, and so something has totally gone wrong. And the impact of this was that outside of work, outside the office, I complained. I complained bitterly. I gossiped about the executive team. I loved doing that. I loved just like, oh, these guys, right? And I became grouchy at home with my life partner. And I was not present in my own life because even when I was outside the office, I was dwelling on like that feeling of being excluded, feeling like I don't belong, feeling like something has gone wrong, right? And here's what I did, nothing. I did nothing about it because I lacked confidence in myself. I didn't make it an issue. I didn't even think to talk to someone about it. I believe I needed them to include me before I can feel confident. I thought that I would be at the effect of them taking action for me to feel good, for me to believe in myself. I worried. I became very anxious. I was resentful. I felt powerless. I felt small. I blamed them for sure, but I also blamed me. When you blame somebody, you also blame yourself, right? You're like, oh, I should be something different. Maybe I should be more outgoing. Maybe I should get into sports. I felt like I was not good enough. And all of this was because I made the situation mean something really bad about me. I struggled. I did not have self-confidence because I was listening to that voice of the itty bitty shitty committee that was telling me I need to belong. I need those people to like me. And I don't. And so there's something terribly wrong with me. When I think that, I feel bad, I feel anxious, and I just feel stressed out, I feel resentful. So when things don't go your way, the cause of the problem, the cause of your feeling bad, lacking self-confidence is what you make it mean. Remember, I made it mean that I can't succeed. And what you make it mean is simply your thought. And this is really huge, because when you realize that what you make it mean is just a thought and you have power over it, you have choice over it, you have the power to change it, you have the choice to change it. I know it might sound like too simple. You're like, what? That's it? The problem is your thought? But yeah, the problem was my thought back then. Thought that I cannot succeed created my misery, created my frustration, created the resentment, created the lack of self-confidence, created me not taking responsibility for my career. So I want you to take a moment, look at what you've written on that piece of paper. What have you written? What is the cause? Why is this particular situation a problem for you? Circle it. What you make it mean is 100% optional. What you make it mean is the reason why you don't feel confident. And this is 100% within your control, 100% optional. So all of the thoughts that hold us back from feeling self-confidence, all of the thoughts that hold us back from raising our hand, speaking up, asking for the things that we want, showing up to the world and making a meaningful contribution, all of the thoughts, what if they're simply not true? Here's what I like to do. And I do this, I literally did this last night. So this really is something that I use on me. A tool that I help my clients with day in and day out and help them create results, right? It's not just woo-woo stuff. This creates results. Like, what if the thoughts that hold me back from feeling self-confident is simply not true? Like, I have the thought, no one's going to show up to this webinar. And I see there's like 10 of you here live. Simply not true, right? What if I can't help people? Simply not true. What if I don't have any value to add? Simply not true. What if I'm not good enough? Simply not true. Here's something I do. I write down all of the thoughts that comes up when I feel doubt, insecure, anxious, afraid, embarrassed, wanting to hide, right? Avoidant. When I'm feeling that negative emotion, I'm like, okay, what am I thinking? What are the thoughts? What is the itty bitty shitty committee saying? I write them all down in really short, simple sentences. I'm not good enough. I'm behind. No one likes me. I don't belong. All of the thoughts. And then on top, I just write thoughts that are not true. They're simply not true. So I invite you to do the same. Write down all the thoughts that hold you back from feeling self-confident, and then ask yourself, what if they're simply not true? They're just thoughts, they're just opinions, they're interpretation from the past, from the itty bitty shitty committee. And when we believe them, we feel not confident, not believing in ourselves. So the work here from there, having identify the thoughts that hold us back from feeling self-confident, is to question your brain, question the itty bitty shitty committee. Don't settle for it. Don't settle for feeling small, feeling resentful, feeling powerless, feeling like you can't be confident, you can't believe in yourself. Don't settle for that. You are capable of more. There is nothing wrong with you. And so to question your brain, I have some question prompts to help you with this process. Go back to that very same situation that you feel is not going your way, that you feel is the cause of you not feeling self-confident. And then just identify the facts of the situation, what is happening factually, and what are some new thoughts you can have about it? Think about, who is your future self? At the end of 2019, this is the time of year where a lot of us think about, what are our goals? What do we want to achieve for 2020 and beyond? What if you, in the future, who has achieved your dreams and goals, if that person were to look back and give you advice about this particular stressful situation, what do you think that future self would tell you? What advice would your future self give you today? And this future self loves you unconditionally, has total compassion for you, has your back no matter what. What would that person say? What would that person say about this situation now? So in other words, gain a new perspective, right? Because right now we're just like focused on the past focused perspective where things are not going your way. But what if in the future things do go your way and you were to get advice from your future self with 100% compassion and love? And also, what if this current situation that feels stressful says nothing, zero, about your future potential? It says nothing about what you are truly capable of. Then what? Then what comes up for you? And what feeling would you embody if you were to believe in what you are capable of, in what you can create in the future? What feeling might you embody? Well, here's a hint. How about self-confidence? And what would that feel like in your body? Like, so many of us who are ambitious, smart, driven professionals, we live in the head, right? We are really good at analyzing, crunching data. We're really good at conceptualizing. We're all right here in the head, and we feel like we're like kind of brain detached from the body. We don't really know what's going on, like in our heart, in our belly, in our feet, in our legs, right? Because we're so focused on doing work and living in the head. But the feeling, the emotion of self-confidence is something that is lived through your body. And so if you were to embody self-confidence, like belief in you, the trust that you have, the compassion you have for yourself, like what would you experience in your belly, in your gut, right? And so when I think about who I am in the future, the person who has achieved her ambitious, I have huge goals. Like I want to double my business. I'm going to build $1 million coaching practice. And when I think about the perspective of my future self and how she feels at having achieved those goals, like I notice like feeling very confident, like firm, solid in my belly. My heart is steady. And I would describe this as like this authoritative feeling, like she's the boss, and she knows it. There's no apology. Very powerful woman. And so what feeling might you embody? I want you to think about, how can I practice? How can I imagine and feel the emotion and embody that emotion now rather than later? Now, when you hear me say that, this is, when I'd imagine some of you are thinking, wait, isn't that faking it till you make it? This is the total opposite. Faking it is like you have this idea of what perfection is, and you just try to like go through the motions without really feeling it, right? But embodying it is living, is creating that version of you now through your body. So you make it a reality. You practice being it before you create that result. And this is so powerful. This is what self-confident people do. And so I want to offer you some, and one more thing I want to offer. Like people will say, well, isn't that pretending? But when you listen to the voice of the itty bitty shitty committee and you behave as if there really is something wrong with you, as if like you don't belong, as if, you need to prove yourself, as if you need to be perfect, you are already living in an as if, because those assumptions may not be true. Those assumptions, I'm going to tell you, are not true. There is nothing wrong with you. But when you behave as if, you create more evidence for you to believe that as if is true. So, if everything is as if, we're already pretending, we're already behaving as if, why not choose a better as if? Choose an as if where your goals have been achieved. You are confident. You are capable. There is nothing wrong with you. So, to counterpoint, I want to share with you a different scenario. Fast forward 6 years, I'm working as a coach. I'm applying the tools that I teach my clients to my own self. And so now I am self-confidence generating machine. That sounded funny, but anyways, when I create confidence for me, I'm doing it from my thinking, from my beliefs, because that's where I have choice, that's where I have power. The thoughts that give me a sense of power, authority, and motivation. This happened to me very recently. I am a public speaker. I gave a presentation to a major music company, a global music company. And my clients, after the first round of presentation, client gave me feedback, very direct. She said, you need to be more assertive. I'm like, oh, okay. I work as a leadership and negotiation coach, and okay, I got the feedback that I need to be even more assertive. And at first, I heard the voice of the Itty Bitty Shitty Committee. At first, I thought, oh no, this is bad. I'm failing. I'm not good enough. And then I recognized, oh yeah, that's a choice. It's like the best analogy I've heard is that it's like a ticker tape. You know, you have all the thoughts running in your mind. It's a ticker tape. It just comes and comes, right? And those thoughts from the Itty Bitty Shitty Committee comes and comes like a ticker tape. And you choose to entertain that thought. Or you choose to be like, oh, just let it pass. And so I chose to let it pass. And then I chose thoughts by purpose, on purpose, by intention. I chose to think, well, you know what? My future self in the future who, you know, has created this amazing coaching practice that helps women double their impact, double their income. My future self would say, you know, this is no big deal. This is how you grow. Nothing has gone wrong. And I chose to think about me in that moment, you know, based on this feedback, I am capable of improving. I can be grateful for this feedback. This is how I grow. I will improve. I will grow from this feedback. And so when I decided to make it mean that this was an opportunity for me to grow, opportunity for me to improve rather than something has gone wrong, I was able to create and then embody the feelings of committed to growing, committed to changing, committed to doing better. And that commitment also generated feelings of self-confidence. Yeah, I'm going to do better. This is exactly what I need. Nothing has gone wrong. I will improve. And so when I thought this way and I felt this way, what I did came naturally. I processed that initial sting, that initial shame of getting this not perfect feedback. I processed the shame without being ashamed. I felt the shame without making me wrong, without making it mean that there's something wrong with me. And I also didn't blame my client. I didn't blame them for this sting of shame. I accepted the feedback as valid, as it meaning nothing wrong about me, but it's just the way how I can improve. And I also acknowledged that I was praised. You know, they said, you know, your content is great. When we're feeling shame, it's so easy, especially for us women. It's so easy to just, you know, forget the nice things people say, to discount it, to, you know, just not even to ignore it. Because we so hyper focus on beating ourselves up. We're so good at it. I know because I've done it too, and my clients do it too. And there's nothing wrong with us. It's something that we can grow from and change. So I acknowledged the praise, I accepted the feedback, and then I decided I'm going to show up as if I've already done a good job, as if I've already improved. Remember, we already live in as if, so you get to choose your as if. So I decided to choose the as if that I've already done a good job. And because I chose this with intention, I did do a better job. I incorporated all of the feedback, and at the end of the next presentation, they said, this was great. This is really phenomenal. Thank you so much. And it created confidence as a result because I was fueled by self-confidence, fueled by believing in my capacity to grow, in my capacity to improve. So we're almost getting to the end of the webinar, and I want to share with you that a lot of people ask me, what is your number one advice for negotiation? How do you become a better negotiator? And it's so simple. This is the advice I give everyone all the time. Just get comfortable hearing no. Embrace no. Get comfortable with that discomfort of no, because you get to decide what it means when you hear that no. When you ask for a raise and they say no, you can decide, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Or you can decide, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me to learn how I can do better, what I can do to get that salary increase. You get to decide what that no means. It does not have to mean that you were personally rejected. That's totally up to you. You have power over it. When you have power over it, it has no power to hurt you unless you decide to make it mean something hurtful about you. So embrace no, go for that opportunity, step outside your comfort zone, go ask for the things that you want, go try it out. That's how you become a better negotiator. And when you are a better negotiator, you are a better leader. Negotiation is simply a skill, a practice of leadership. And how you negotiate shows people how you would negotiate on their behalf, on the behalf of the organization. So the problem with hearing no is, of course, how we feel when we hear no. Right? I mean, most people don't like hearing no. Most Americans, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't want to hear no. Right? Why is that? It's because we're making it mean something bad about us. But when we do, because we have the itty bitty shitty committee and we all have it in our brains, right? What do we feel? We feel a negative emotion. And so what do we do with that? What do we do with feeling bad, feeling ashamed, feeling rejected, feeling judged, feeling angry? What do we do? Here's the secret, here's the super secret sauce of creating self-confidence. That was a lot of S's. You learn to allow. You learn to become a master of feeling shame. You learn to become a master feeling fear. You learn to become a master of feeling sad. And I want to add, you learn to become a master of feeling joy. And here's how. You feel the burn. What does that shame feel like in your body? What is that vibration like? For me, it's like this heavy, thick, like something caustic is in my chest. And you're willing to feel it without making it mean there's something wrong with you. It's going to be so tempting, but this is 100% possible for you to allow to feel a negative emotion without making it mean something bad about you. And that's when you know you have emotional mastery. Fear, willing to feel the fear without failing to show up, to speak up, to take action. If you're willing to feel the fear of rejection and make the ask anyways, there's nothing that can stop you. You will be unstoppable. Sad. Sometimes I feel sad. Sometimes I feel sad. I mean, it's winter here in New York, and I started feeling really sad because of the weather. Well, really because of what I was thinking, but in my mind, but it triggered emotions of sad. And then I did this, recently I had to just allow this ache in my heart, in my chest, in my belly, without blaming people, without blaming me, without making me a victim of the world. Nothing has gone wrong. I can be with this sadness. And also joy. Did you know that joy is one of the most terrifying emotions for people? This is according to Brene Brown, who researches shame and writes beautifully about vulnerability and leadership. And she says that joy is the most terrifying emotion. Can you imagine just allowing yourself to really expand and feel joy, feel really good about your contributions, about all the work that you've done in 2019, without getting afraid that the other shoe is going to drop, without contracting, without resorting to, paranoia and worry, just allowing yourself to feel that joy. I think that's going to really help you be more self-confident in you when you can allow yourself to feel the joy of you, of all the things that you create in the world, because you do. So having said that, I want to give you some like useful everyday tips. How can you implement this into your everyday life. So 3 key actions for building self-confidence. Like I mentioned, the itty bitty shitty committee is baked into our brains. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. We just have a healthy human brain that's always going to try to talk us out of being self-confident and taking action from self-confident. And so just meet it instead of trying to suppress it or make it wrong. Just meet it with curiosity and compassion. Write down the thoughts on paper. Write down all the thoughts that come up that create this feeling of doubt, insecurity, anxiety, and then consider how really they might not be true. What if the opposite is true? There's nothing wrong with you. And open yourself up to the negative emotion. Emotions cannot harm you. We have this crazy idea that feeling bad means, I don't know, crying, bawling, throwing a fit, making people uncomfortable, hissy fit. That's resisting, that's reacting, that's trying to suppress it, that's trying to blame it, that's trying to not feel it. When you feel an emotion, it just feels like you're just sitting and you're just being. That's how you process a negative emotion. You can do it. When you can process a negative emotion, nothing can stop you from becoming self-confident, from taking action, from taking risks, from asking for the things that you want, from becoming a leader in your own career, in your life. Opening up to negative emotion, to both the shame and the joy, is what is going to make you just unstoppable. And from there, you take action every day. We are all familiar with the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, do something that scares you every day. Every day, do something that requires courage. And think about courage. Courage is not a pretty emotion. It's like feeling that fear, feeling that doubt, and taking action anyways. Step outside of your comfort zone. Go ask for something. Go embrace that no. You will become an amazing leader, an amazing negotiator in 2020. So I want to invite you to work with me. If this work resonated with you, I want to work with you. I want to help you feel better now so that you can start taking action now, not later. I want to help you identify that one critical mindset shift that is unique to you. I want to help you untangle all the things that the itty bitty shitty committee is saying so that you can take confident action forward. I want to help you build your custom strategy. This is where my special sauce is in. I help people speak up, advocate, communicate with confidence and authority, and I help women embody it. Right? So they're not faking it till they make it, but they're being it, and they're speaking their authentic truth and connecting with people in a genuine way. And I help people evaluate their progress so you know exactly what's working, what's not, what you'll do differently. And here is a great client testimonial. Alexis is a consultant, and she worked with me, and I helped her also negotiate her job offer. And she said that working with me was the smartest thing she's ever done professionally. In her words, not only is it a fantastic experience, it also more than pays for itself immediately and then hundreds of times over during the course of your career. So it's you work with me and then you use the skills over and over and over again over the course of your career. It's an investment in you, in your future. So if you want to have a chat, I have 3 sessions available next week. I save 3 sessions every week open to consultations. Come to jamieleecoach.com/apply, 2-minute application. You get considered for a 60-minute consultation with yours truly. Thank you so much for your time, for your attention, for it's been a marvelous conversation. I hope you found this useful and that you will create something really amazing in 2020 with your self-confidence.